You can inflate a balloon in 3 seconds, 4 seconds, I understand. How long is it going to take these kids with no experience?
We're figuring that they'll do about 2 to 3 balloons a minute. I've been doing this since I was 15 years old, so it's unfair to compare, but 2 to 3 balloons a minute. Each kid is going to do correctly about 700 balloons or so for the day, and we'll do it in about 4 to 6 hours, all the balloons.
We're coming down there. Who do you have there, John?
What is your name?
Tanya Pugh.
Okay, Tanya, show everybody what you have on your hands there. What are those?
Let's tape bandages.
Okay, and what are they for?
They're for getting away from sores from your hand.
Okay, did you get any blisters?
Yeah, 3.
Are you having a good time?
Yeah.
Are you tired?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Chuck, as you can see, they're going strong. They're blowing them up. I still think they have the record. Back to you, Chuck.
Sounds like fun, David. Thank you.
I understand we might have a northerly wind, too, so they'll all wind up over Canada.
Ladies and gentlemen, live from downtown Cleveland, it's Big Chuck and Little John in front of the biggest happening around.
Okay, thank you, John. And we have a real story to tell you.
Something that has been in the planning stages since March of this year. So a lot of technical research and research through the city, permits. It's endless. It's absolutely astonishing to try and get something like this off, let alone waiting for good weather.
So this is a big plus for Cleveland.
Oh, it's something that, you know, they predicted 70% chance of showers today, and I think this is a prime example of what United Way is trying to do in terms of saying, Cleveland, it's your time. It's time to say yes. It's time to say it is a happening city. We are on the move. It's no longer the butt of jokes or anything. I've been in this city now for 6 months, and I absolutely love it. My wife and I have even talked about moving here, and our friends in LA think we're nuts. But it is a wonderful place. If I had money to invest, this is where I'd be invested in.
Very, very good. Thank you.
We're not making this up. It's really happened. Mary Ellen bought 2 bunches of balloons to give to John and I here. She came down, and one of the bunches of balloons she had tied to her watch. And the watch opened up, and the balloons took the watch, and it's now going out east somewhere. So John and I say, if anybody finds Mary Ellen's watch tied to a bunch of balloons like this, and if you return it to the station, we'll have all kind of rewards for you. Okay, thanks for coming down, Mayor. Who do you have there, John?
Balloons, 1.5 million of them, caused quite a stir in Cleveland yesterday. It was part of a fundraiser for the United Way. Our report takes off with Neil Zurcher.
The volunteers were pouring in all night long, and by dawn it looked like a helium mountain rising out of Public Square. Inside the balloon mountain, thousands of volunteers were working as fast as they could to keep adding to the 1.5 million needed to set a new world's record. A record that nearly escaped them when a storm late last night caused the release of several thousand balloons.
It was very hairy. My crew, who was just getting ready to turn in, had everything set for the morning, and we lost 25 of the big inflatables that you see. It took off the whole side of this fabric over here. So we had to work straight through right until the time the crew got here and they got the bin ready.
While the leak was corrected, Heining was still concerned by late morning about the weather today.
The balloons are going to be inflated by about noon. So if it starts to look like rain, we might just pull a number and release them early. That's something I've got to discuss with United Way.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here they go. Away, lift off.
Amazing. And the far end is up, and there they go, John.
The Guinness Book of World Records has just been broken in Cleveland. Over 1,500,000 balloons going up in the air at this very, very moment. Look at the cloud demo. We did it.
We did it, John. There it goes. It's completely covering the terminal tower. Look at that.
I want to sing up and away. It is awesome, ladies and gentlemen, to actually be down here and see the multi-colors that are going up in the air at this moment.
We did it, John.
This is it.
Let's do it for Cleveland.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no mistake on the lake anymore. Cleveland has now broken the Guinness Book of World Records and released over 1,500,000 balloons. Think of that, Chuck. The Guinness Book of World Records, the Cleveland home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All of this in Cleveland, Ohio.
The All-American City. How many events can we take over in 1986?
His concern was well-founded. As 2 p.m. approached, a rainstorm started moving in from the lake, and it was decided to launch the balloons early.
The 1986 Cleveland Balloonfest disaster. What the United Way of Cleveland organizers thought would be a perfect publicity in addition to creating a beautiful spectacle proved to be a real disaster for the whole city. Having filled 1.5 million helium balloons, they planned to release all of them at once, breaking the existing world record in the process. Initially, the balloons in the sky gave what was an incredible display worth watching. However, the weather conditions were not ideal for the release of the balloons, something they had not considered.
Like a giant cloud rose over the square while others tumbled and danced against the buildings. The crowd loved it.
It was beautiful. It looked like confetti going up.
That was great. Totally awesome. I was surprised. I loved it. It was so great. Oh my God, it was great. I loved it.
The balloons at first drifted south, but then the wind changed and they moved back across the downtown area and started descending onto Burke Lakefront Airport and filled the Cleveland Harbor. The crew of a Coast Guard helicopter said they felt like they were flying through an asteroid field as the balloons rained down. The rainstorm was blamed for the short-lived flight of the balloons, which had been expected to spread far and wide after being released.
Yeah.
It's been an exhausting search for these Coast Guardsmen. They've been out on the water most of the day looking for 2 40-year-old Cleveland men, Skip Sullivan and Raymond Broderick. They went out fishing about an hour before last night's heavy storm blew through. This is their boat, a pair of life jackets still in it, along with a hat and a fishing pole. The boat's motor is gone. Its sides are battered, apparently from pounding all night against this section of the break wall off Edgewater Park. That's where the Coast Guard found the boat about 8:30 this morning.
Ironically, that big balloon launch in Cleveland today is one of the things that's making this search so tough for the Coast Guard. Can you imagine trying to find somebody floating out here or even spotting a life jacket with all these balloons on the water?
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack here, because you're looking for more or less a head or an orange life jacket. Here you have a couple 100,000 orange balloons, and it's just hard to decipher which is which.
Because of weather, 60% of the balloons launched landed here instead of the planned 10%. Many of them were found on Lake Erie.
Covered the lake and caused concern on Saturday are no longer here today. No one's quite sure where they went, but at least they're no longer posing a threat to fish and wildlife, and they're not littering the lake. 5 on 5.